And first, the message will be for the Dharma School kids, and please remain for the other part of the message. Thank you.
No more notes.
No.
No more notes.
No.
No more notes. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Let's see here. Okay. So I'm going to start my message with a passage that I have here, and then I will continue on with the rest of my message. So just give me 1 second. Chie no koumyo hakari nashi, uryou no shoso koto gotoku, koukeu kamuranu mono wa nashi, shinjitsu myou ni kimi o seyo to. The light of wisdom exceeds all measure, and every finite living being receives this illumination that is like the dawn. So take refuge in Amida, the true and real light. No more doubts. No more doubts. No more doubts. No more doubts. Again, good morning, everyone, and thank you for allowing me to speak to all the Dharma School students, as well as all of you today, again. So the passage that I just quoted is a passage found in the Jodo Wasan, or the Hymns of the Pure Land, written by Shinran Shonin, who, of course, as you know, is the founder of our school of Buddhism, Jodo Shinshu, and is found on the right side of the altar right there. As a trivia question, this is usually one of the wasans that are typically used when we chant Shoshinge, if we get to the wasans part. So I wanted to talk about wisdom. Wisdom, one of the definitions provided for wisdom by Merriam-Webster is the accumulated philosophical or scientific learning, or another term for it, knowledge. So when we think of the word wisdom, or we think of wise, we think of characters such as Yoda from Star Wars, Professor Albus Dumbledore from Harry Potter, and more recently, Master Oogway of Kung Fu Panda. How many of you know of Kung Fu Panda? Okay, good. This is going to work well. But if you don't worry. I'll explain. But what makes these characters so full of wisdom? Are they actually wise characters, or are they just because they're super seniors? They're older. Let's take a look at one of these characters. In Kung Fu Panda, we're introduced to Po, a clumsy, large panda who works at his dad's noodle shop and feels there's more to life than just working at the noodle shop, making noodles, and has a dream of becoming a Kung Fu master. Or the actual term for it was Kung Fu warrior. So one day, he accidentally stumbles into a competition where Master Oogway, an old tortoise and the creator of Kung Fu in this world, declares Po the next dragon warrior, the biggest Kung Fu master. And so Master Oogway's apprentice, Master Shifu, doesn't believe that Po is the dragon warrior at all, but is tasked with training him. Master Shifu tries their best to make Po's training unbearable and succeeds by making Po question if he's actually meant to be the dragon warrior. Po goes outside in the middle of the night, sad and alone, stress eating, as he calls it, but is approached by Master Oogway, who has an inspirational talk with the young warrior. While giving this talk, Master Oogway mentions to Po, "You are too concerned with what was and what will be. There is a saying, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today's a gift. That's why they call it a present. I think this is meant to show us that we may worry about things that we've done previously, and we can worry about things that will happen tomorrow, but we should more focus on what's happening now. Sometimes I have a moment with a waiter or waitress, they bring me my food, and they say, enjoy your meal. And what do I say? Thanks, you too. But then I start to think about it for an hour or so afterwards, thinking, they're not eating, I'm the one eating. So why did I say that? It's really embarrassing to think about. But another thing that I'll do is sometimes I'll get mad at my parents because I prefer not to do something like homework. But later on, I learn why they're telling me to do something. They told me to do my homework so that I can learn something that I would need to know for later, right? I could focus on these moments where I did something wrong and I can be embarrassed by them, but these are opportunities to learn from. So if my parents told me to do something now, I could think, why are they asking me to do this one thing right now? I could take a moment and I could just think about it and then react to it. Now, I can also do the same for things in the future. As example, sometimes I try too hard to plan for things in advance. I have an entire list of things I want to do, and I pile more and more on each time, even things to get ready for these things on the list. But then there comes a point where if I do too much, I get sick, and I can't finish these things in a timely manner like I would. I didn't learn this lesson at first. I kept getting tired, needing to sleep, and then pushed everything further and further behind. Now what I do is I check in with myself, see how I'm feeling. Is it a good day to do this? Maybe I need a quick nap first, and then I'll do something. And it's helped me to feel less sick and feel better taking on these items each day. If I'm not okay right now, I won't be okay later on, because I'll feel bad that I can't get to the things that I wanted to do or I needed to do. So let's go back to that passage I mentioned before. Let me repeat the translation provided. The light of wisdom exceeds all measure, and every finite living being receives this illumination that is like the dawn. So take refuge in Amida, the true and real light. The light of wisdom exceeds all measure refers to Amida's immeasurable light being associated with the wisdom that goes everywhere and anywhere. Amida will continue to provide us with this wisdom, with this light, wherever we may be. And because wisdom can go anywhere we are, Amida can provide us with lessons that are always around us. And while we might not be able to hear or see Amida right in front of us, there are others who can help us to hear the wisdom of Amida. They are able to present itself in many different things, like the messages that ministers like Reverend Gibbs provides, or the classes that your teachers may provide, or the things that your parents or guardians say, or even just the experiences that we have each and every day. The things we hear, the things we say, the things we do can all be reflected so that we can make ourselves and others better. So as we gather here at the Pasadena Buddhist Temple today, when we receive words from others, especially our super seniors, let's keep in mind Amita's immeasurable light, which illumines all of us and continues to provide those moments of reflection, thankfulness, and humbleness for all of these moments and all of those that continue to touch our lives, just like all of you. So with that, I would like to conclude my message, and thank you so much for listening to me and allowing me to share my understanding of the Dharma. Thank you. Namamidautsu.
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 Namamidautsu. Namamidautsu. I'd just like to release all the Dharma School kids, and I think the message both for, for you as younger people and for us is really appropriate. So right now, if you can go, we have an activity planned. That's going to be fun. Not that it's not fun in here. But yes, my hero is Kung Fu Panda. It's Po. I love Po. But it's a real good lesson for adults. So if you haven't watched Kung Fu Panda, please go watch it. There's a lot of life lessons in there. A lot of Buddhist life lessons as well. But again, let me see. And Sensei, you will go ahead with our portion of the message. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kathy. Yeah, thanks for coming back from, Kathy was just an ministerial assistant training program at our Jodo Shinshu Center in Berkeley for a few days. So she drove back late last night, and yeah, thanks so much for your efforts. We so much appreciate Yasaki Sensei for being here too. Ali gave a great talk. We appreciate Howard Hayes playing organ for us, so it's very hard for me to sing these songs without an accompaniment. And Kyoko does a wonderful job on the flowers. I don't do flowers well. Reverend Iwahara and I were said to have the same style of flower arrangement when we were in Japan. Reverend Dennis Yamasaki said, yeah, your style is throw flowers into vase. Sorry, some of us just don't get it. I can't do flowers, that's all I could do. And I can do we don't have the special clause today, but Kyoko can do that beautifully in about 20 minutes. It takes me 2.5 hours, and it's agonizing for me. So everyone's not the same, we're not the same. It's probably best that we excuse the younger folks today, because my topic this morning is aging, death, and hopefulness. Stuck hopefulness in there, but we're going to focus on aging and death. Now, as modern Americans, we often hear well-meaning, encouraging words about aging. It's only a number, You're only as old as you feel. 70 is the new 50. Age is just a number. Old age is a time for joy and reflection. Aging is not lost youth, but a new stage of opportunity and strength. That was Betty Friedan. Aging is not lost youth, but a new stage of opportunity and strength. But she died of congestive heart failure at the age of 85. I mean, she had a good long run, but which is a process of growing more and more weak, So she didn't have strength at the end. She did not. None of us do. None of us that have CHF, that's for sure. You will not find these sorts of naive consolations in the sutras or the ancient Buddhist writings. The historical Buddha and his direct students were very realistic about the matters of aging, illness, and death. They were very realistic about the harshness and helplessness that we have to encounter in the face of death. Read you a passage here now from the Nikayas, 2 passages from the Nikayas. This is from, I don't speak Pali well, this is from the Devayajana Sutta, something like that. This world is swept away by aging, illness, and death. For one swept on by aging, there is no shelter. No shelters exist. No shelters exist for aging. Keeping sight of this danger in death, do meritorious deeds that bring bliss. Make merit while you live. When the world is on fire with aging and death, we should salvage future wealth by giving. That's again from the Dvejana Sutta, very old text. Now, that's a pretty uncompromising view of aging. For one swept away by aging, no shelters exist. Well, that's pretty uncompromising. No shelters. We cannot escape aging and death. We cannot be sheltered from them. And they are really bad things for us. For us, they are really bad things, aging, illness, death. We cannot mitigate aging, illness, and death on their own terms. Perhaps we can balance their impact by focusing on other feelings that we have and by centering on our commitments to other people and to principles of goodness. But we cannot eliminate them in this life, aging, illness, and death. Reading from another passage from the Nikayas, the oldest layer of written texts for Buddhists. This one is from the Jara Sutta. When young, one is subject to aging. When healthy, subject to illness. When alive, subject to death. The complexion is no longer clear and bright with aging. With aging, the complexion is no longer clear and bright. The limbs are flabby and wrinkled. I'm sure he could have put that more nicely, but the limbs are flabby and wrinkled. The back bent forward. There's a discernible change in the faculties of the eye, the faculty of the ear, the faculty of the nose, the faculty of the tongue, the faculty of the body. Those who live to 100 are all headed to end, in the end, to death. Even if you get to be 100, the next stage is death. Again, that was from the Jara Sutta, and now from the Samaditthi Sutta. The aging of beings, their old age, brings brokenness of teeth, grayness of hair, wrinkling of the skin, decline of life, weakness of faculties. This is called aging. With the arising of birth, there is the arising of aging and death. These conditions of biological life will not change. We cannot fundamentally change the onslaught of aging, illness, and death. What we can do is put new positive causes into play that can counterbalance the dark conditions of human life to some extent. We can, should, and I believe will one day eliminate many virulent diseases, such as leukemia. We should eliminate leukemia, we will. As most of you know, I used to work in hospitals and clinics as a clerk, and I saw children overcome with leukemia. I saw many of them die, and I saw those that survived, I gotta say, I've my own personal experience, I've never seen anyone survive adult onset leukemia. If you're in perfectly good health and you start getting leukemia when you're 60, everybody I know is dead within a year or two. But I have seen children look like they're on death's door. They look terrible. They're pale, they're weak, they can barely stand up. 2 years later, they're playing basketball. Kids can throw it. Kids can throw it, and we'll find a way to end it one day, and we should. There are things we can change, and we should. I remember one girl I met, Margaret Rosedale. I made friends with the transfer orderlies. Clerks tend to be very friendly with janitors and transport orderlies. They have a lot of time. We have gaps in our work. And so one of the transport orderlies, Randy, he wheeled this girl up. The girl never said a word, Margaret Rosedale. I talked to her 3 times and she never spoke. She was on death's door. But he rolls her up and says, "Hey, Greg, this is Margaret. Margaret, this is Greg. Try to treat her like a human being, But she passed away at the age of 11 in 1984. We got to stop that. We got to deal with leukemia, and we will. But if she hadn't have died of leukemia at the age of 11, she still would have died later. She would have died later if we had cured her leukemia. She would have died maybe 7 years later after starting a family, after watching her children graduate from high school. after playing with their grandchildren on the beach. It does matter that we can cure these diseases as long as we can work on making life better, stave off illness and death. There are two kinds of counterweights that our actions can produce to offset a bit the severity of the conditions of life. One way in which our actions, our karma, can help to offset the harshness of life is by developing direct actions like developing vaccines. I got my COVID booster and my flu shot this week. And yeah, the pharmacist gave it to me, and English was not his first language. I tried to talk to him about, well, should I have both of them or you know, and he could not talk with me about it. But I decided to go ahead and go with, well, I was going to go with both in one arm because I heard that like boosts them or something. But I decided the thing is, I had them on separate arms because that way, if there is a reaction, you can know which one. This is COVID, this is flu shot. Should everyone get the COVID? No. Should almost everyone get the COVID vaccine? I think so. Should everyone? No. My sister was thrown into kidney failure. There are people with physical conditions such that they shouldn't do it. Should everyone get the flu shot? I don't know. I should get the flu shot, and I do. I started getting the seasonal flu shot when I was 50. Kyoko or Ren could tell you, before I was 50, I used to get about half a dozen flus or colds every year. I'm very susceptible to respiratory illness. I think it's because my mother was a heavy smoker. I had tobacco smoke in the house all the time. But for whatever reason, I'm very susceptible to respiratory diseases. About half a dozen times a year, a bad flu or one of those irritating colds. I saw allergies, you get more when you get older. But since I'm getting the flu shot, I get a cold or a flu 0 to 1 times a year. I haven't had one in 3 years. But if I didn't get that flu shot, I get about half a dozen times. So I don't know about you. I should get the flu shot. We should stop diseases if we can, and we are working on them. But the other sort of corrective attitude, the other sort of corrective action is to change our attitude or our focus. Now, the concrete way you try to change your focus varies a bit with the stream of tradition. As we can see from these very old quotes I read, they're talking about do good now for later. Well, we know what they're talking about. Say, yeah, you're in bad shape right now, so well, what can you do? Well, just make merit, behave well for later. You know what they mean by later? Future lives. They don't mean this life. That's not too reassuring for some of us. Nonetheless, it's true. If you make merit, it may affect your next lives. We do have next lives, but that sequential way of viewing them one after another is not the Mahayana way of looking at things. That's not the model of thought that is most used in Mahayana Buddhism. In our stream of tradition, we think more in terms of an ocean-like oneness that we enter with awakening. An ocean-like oneness in which one thing flows into another without separation, without sharp boundaries. This is our main way of thinking. There's also a way of thinking of future lives, to be sure, but we don't usually think in terms of discrete individual lives in the future. We picture it more as a multiverse. As I've told you, the Sino-Japanese term for multiverse is Sanzen Daisen Sekai. This comes very early. This is in the sutras themselves, so compiled about the 2nd century before the Common Era. We do have a view of a multiverse. Sanzen Daisen Sekai. So, you know, you can build for all those lives here, there, and everywhere, some of them unfolding already. Building merit, living well makes a difference. Making good karma is a good idea. But for those who don't think of future lives, even some people who believe in them don't spend much time thinking about future lives, you know. So for those who don't spend a lot of time thinking about future lives, see this life as somewhere where you paint your great masterpiece. Your life is your masterpiece. It's not done until the last stroke. That last stroke is when you die. Your death is that last stroke on the painting. Build that masterpiece and make it beautiful. That's one way of using thinking and reflection to balance the harshness of the biological life that we live. But what I always tell you, my favorite way of putting this is, remember who and what you love and make your stand there. Don't let anyone tell you who or what to love. Love who and what you love and make your stand there. Some of you will know the old Paul Simon song. It came out the year I graduated from high school, so we're talking old now, called Old Friends, and it includes the line, hold on to your memories. They're all that's left you. That's Paul Simon, that's not the Buddha. Well, they're not all that's left you. Your memories are not all that's left you, but they're a crucial resource. Your memories are a crucial resource, so hold on to the good memories you have. Remember the times you spent with your family and your friends. It will balance the harshness of the conditions we have to live in. For example, I remember in the year 2006, what is that, 19 years ago, Kyoko and my sons and I went to the Newport Aquarium. It's just a little aquarium, but Sean was 8, my older son was 8, and my younger son, Ren, was just 2.5. And I still remember the look of wonder in his eyes. I mean, these everywhere, you know. And Newport Aquarium has a kind of a sweet thing where they've got a regular aquarium, and then you walk through this area where you're walking, the fish are above and all around you. You're walking through a tube, and the fish are underneath you, and they're beside you, and they're above you. So you're in with the fish themselves, it feels like. He was just amazed, you know. I still remember that. That memory is very nurturing for me. When I think of that, you know, other things aren't as important. I have a little pain in my right hip right now. I strained a little bit doing exercise. So what? So what? Hold on to your love for others. Hold on to your memories of the times you spent with them. Hold on to the commitments that you have with them. And the little pains of gradual aging, the little illnesses, even the threat of death, so what? And this is my message to you this morning. I thank you for your kind attention. I thank you for listening to Ali Sensei's talk and chanting the sutras with us. And we'll close the Dharma message portion of our service by saying the Buddha's name a few times. Join me as you will. We rely upon the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much.
Thank you again.